Coming in hot, 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 Lisa shares her financial tips and strategies to build wealth, have fun with finances, and be debt-free without having a restrictive budget. From bankrupt to millionaire, Lisa knows what it's like to feel as if you're living paycheck to paycheck. Her unconventional money multiplier system is the very wealth protocol that enabled her to retire 2.5 years early, pay down $100,000 of debt in 6 months, and move to her dream home at the beach. Hey, welcome to this episode of I Date Money with yours truly, Lisa Drennan. Today we have an amazing guest. She's into human design, and I just started learning about this yesterday from one of my favorite clients, Rena, but Yolanda Boyarin does this. She is a spiritual business coach for the driven entrepreneur that is looking to combine practical sales and marketing strategies. Everyone raise their hand, along with energetics. As a human design expert and coach, she has been able to grow her business to a 7-figure brand, and she also helps certify other coaches in this modality while significantly increasing their sales and income. You better share this episode because you're going to want to hear everything that she has to say. She does this all from a place of alignment without the hustle. So important to be in line. Thank you so much, Yolanda, for being here. I am so excited to hear what you are doing and how, I was going to say, how does money align with human design? And let's talk more about these energetics. How did you get started in all of this?
Yeah, well, first of all, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited because money is like one of my favorite topics. Okay, I'm going to try and give you a Cliff's Notes version, but there is a very long story behind this. So the energetics piece I got into, I got into it as a little girl. I was exposed to it as a little girl. I had an uncle who had no children. So all of my cousins, he always treated us to ice cream and, the arcades and museums and all of that. But he always had this thing. He's very knowledgeable, very well read, where he would say, I'm going to manifest the lottery. And as a kid, he would walk us through these exercises. And, as a kid, it's like, oh, this is so fun. And then he kept talking about it and talking about it and talking about it. And then it started getting embarrassing as I got older because I would be like 12, 13, 14. And we'd be at lunch and he'd say to the waitress, I'm going to manifest the lottery. And I'm like, oh my gosh, people are looking at my uncle. He's drinking. They think he's crazy. Until it happened when I was 17. I actually became a mom at the age of 17. I got pregnant at 16, had my son at 17. And it caused kind of a rift between my uncle and I because he was disappointed. And so we wound up making amends. And literally the next day after we made amends, he called me screaming on the phone that he had won the lottery. And I was like, you're drunk. What are you talking about? This is crazy. And he was at my other uncle's house and he was like, no, he really did $42 million. And I was like, oh my gosh. So then I wanted to learn more about energetics. I wanted to learn more about, I guess, law of attraction, if you will. So I started reading and, of course, consulting with him around how the brain processes information, around basically the science behind it. I'm very much a why person. I'm not just going to take things for, face value. I want to know the why. And so I started applying this into my own life. Now, remember, I was 17 when this happened. By the age of 21, I was able to buy my first house. It was a brand new home. I bought my first Mercedes. By the age of 25, I was already making multiple 6 figures with lots of money in the bank, traveling lots, giving my family everything that I thought they needed. And I really climbed the real estate ladder. And when my son turned 14, he attempted suicide. And yeah, it was a really dark time for my entire family. And it really put things into perspective for me. And I felt like, wow, I was hustling so hard, trying to give my family what I thought they wanted and deserved. And I missed so much. I missed so many signs. I missed quality time. I missed everything. And that's when I decided, okay, I have to prioritize what matters most to me. And I started this business with that passion of, I need to show women that it's easy. Sales is my background. So sales psychology, I love. Marketing strategies, I love. And I was like, why don't I combine the two? And so I gave myself a vow that I would not build this business from a state of hustle, that I would build this business from a state of alignment. And then I don't believe in coincidences. So when I started this business, I started seeing people talk about human design. And I was like, what is this thing? And I saw people sharing how it had changed their business and how they attracted clients. And I was like, I have to understand this. So I hired someone to do a reading. I was blown away. The next day, I started posting content based on what I had heard in the reading, and sales just exploded. That was literally my first month in business. I made $5,000 that month. The next month was $10K. And I just realized there was so much to this. So I hired a human design coach to guide me through that. Things were growing rapidly. And then I got certified myself and I started helping my clients. And I noticed it was such a huge difference in how they operated. So I guess human design fits in it because when you're operating like yourself versus what society tells you, it makes things so much easier. I always use the quote by Albert Einstein, if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it'll go its entire life thinking it's stupid. And I think that's what most of us are doing without human design.
Yeah. I love how that quote fits in, because so many people are trying to be put in a mold, like do it this cookie cutter way. And even if it's claimed not to be, it's not in alignment with how we receive information. And just that I had a human design reading yesterday and first time, and it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And I don't fully understand it because obviously it was just the one little 5-minute introduction. And I thought, there's certain things I know that I don't like to do. And as a generator, I learned that I make decisions from my gut. And I've ignored my gut for so long. I mean, I switched my niche 3 times because I was so afraid to step into being a financial coach because of some work that I had to do in the background. And it was just like, wait a minute, why aren't I doing the thing I love to do? And actually coaches would tell me, well, you're going to be a client attraction coach. You're going to be a health and fitness coach. You're going to do this. And that fit their mold. And then they were having me do these launches. I hate launches. I hate them. We don't need to do it that way. So to be able to have this blueprint and to fit it in to grow your business. I mean, you were a single mom. I became a mom at 18, but you were a single mom and
I'm not a single mom. I've been with my husband since I was 16.
You got married at 16?
I got married at 17. We've been together for 23 years.
Oh, congratulations. Thank you. That's awesome. Congrats to you. That is amazing. So as a young couple, I mean, that's unheard of, right? So here you are, a young couple, you're building this business, you got into real estate, and you're giving your family all you want, all that they want, right? What was it like the exchange of money as far as, you were receiving all these high commissions? Was it going out as fast as it was coming in, or did you have a plan to invest and to maximize your earnings to multiply more money?
A little bit of both. So when I had my son, we were living in low income apartments, and a lot of times we really didn't have anything to eat. What we had was ramen noodles because they were 10 cents a pack. And so I think a little bit of that fear of going back to that scared me and helped me. And growing up, I have an older sister and an older brother. And I used to see my mom, my sister's 12 years older than me. I used to see my mom always struggling to help my sister out of credit card debt that she would go and accumulate. And so I was terrified of credit cards. And so when I started making great money, it was a little bit of both. It was like, okay, we're going to take the trips. We're going to buy the cars. We're going to buy the house. We're going to do the things, but I'm also going to have this savings. And so I lived well below my means, but I probably still spent way more than I should have. And it wasn't until I actually reached probably in my early 30s that we actually started investing, like actual investing. So yeah, there was a little bit of give and take there.
Yeah. And what an amazing thing to be able to do just to help out your family and give them things, that you thought were like, this is amazing. I want to help you do this and do that. And being afraid of credit card debt, like so many people have credit card debt. That's the norm, right? Popular opinion, use credit. I like to leverage credit in order to maximize my investments. So you bought your house outright, no mortgage, you bought the Mercedes outright, no car loan?
Well, the mortgage, we did mortgage the house. So we had that payment, but cars, yeah, we were buying cars cash because I was so terrified of payments. I was so terrified of what if, something happens? What if it all comes crashing down? And I was in real estate working on commission, and that was constantly my thought of like, where's my next client going to come from? And so, yeah, there was probably some definite bad choices in the beginning.
Yeah, and having that thought process of growing up, what's your earliest memory around money, the first time that you were introduced to money? How old were you?
4 years old. I remember it very clear as day because it changed my life completely. I came from a single mom who had 3 children. My brother is 14 years older than me. My sister's 12 years older than me. And when I was growing up, we had a 2-bedroom. It was like a little townhouse type of style. And in one bedroom, it was my sister, my mom, and I. We had 2 beds in the room. And then in another bedroom, my brother, again, much older than me, it was him, his girlfriend, and his son, because he had a son very young as well. And then on the couch, we had a cousin renting the couch, basically. So we had 7 people in this 2-bedroom house. And I remember going to the grocery store with my mom, and there was like this little toy. It must have been $1 back then. I mean, this was in the 80s. And I said, Mom, I really want this. Can I get this? And she said, no, I don't have money for that. And that wasn't the first time she told me no. She had told me no over and over and over. But that was the time that I decided I'm not going to do this. When I grow up, I'm going to be the girl that gets everything that she wants. I'm going to be the girl that can afford what she wants, when she wants. I'm not going to live like this. And I know that day truly changed my life.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, making that stance. I made a similar stance when I was around 3 or 4. Growing up in the 70s, my mom was divorced. We had 3 older brothers, and every single time I wanted something, it was no, we can't afford that. No, I had to start working at 11 just to buy my own school clothes. And
Wow.
I remember when I was 13, I wanted a pair of Jordache jeans. They were $40 at the time, and I begged my mother to get them, and she would not. And I even bartered because my birthday and Christmas are close together. I'm like, just get it to me. It's the only thing I want. And she refused. And I swore my kids would always have designer clothes, and they did. And it's funny because the youngest is now 25, and they don't really care about designer clothes. I mean, they know all the brand names, and they do really well with shopping and all of that. So that's amazing. So going back to the transition when you went through that, I'm so sorry you had to go through that with your son, and I'm glad he's okay and everything worked out. How did that transition your viewpoint of money? I mean, I would imagine some people would look at money and say, oh no, I put money before my family, and now this is what happened. So what was the drive behind creating the business and changing it from a viewpoint where you can support your family emotionally and be there physically for them? What was that shift for you?
Yeah, I love this question. And, one thing that I didn't mention was I didn't just quit real estate and go straight into this. There was, my son is 21 now, but during that time, we were struggling with this for so many years, in and out of hospitals and, different doctors, things like that, and different, I guess you would say, relapses that he would have in certain ways. And so I quit real estate, and I was selling clothing online, and I was making money. It was nowhere near the amount of money that I was making in real estate, but I was making money. And so during that period, that was about a 2-year period, maybe a little less than 2 years. And during that period, I did kind of go the opposite. It was like, no, this was what caused all of this. And so I got rid of all of my designer purses. I got rid of all of my designer shoes, everything that represented that to me. I bought my Range Rover, which was my dream car at the age of 27. And I think I had it for a couple of years at this point. And I even sold that and got rid of it. Like anything that I felt tied me back to that old identity, I sold. And then I started, kind of growing through that period. I'm really grateful. I hate that my son went through that, but I'm really grateful that it brought me to where I am today. So being able to process that and look at it as, wait a minute, money wasn't the bad thing. It was the way that I was responding to the money. It was the way that I was reacting towards money and with money. And so I was like, no, this is who I am. I love making money. And very much like you. I mean, I remember at 4 and 5 years old, hosting my own garage sales in the front yard with my toys that I didn't want anymore. And at 4 years old, I was collecting cans to take them to the recycling bin. And my grandmother would drive me around the neighborhood. And I don't remember this, but she would say, you wanted cans so bad, you wanted to dumpster dive to get those cans. I was like, thank goodness you didn't let me do that. But I've always been so money driven. And I realized, I was like, why am I demonizing the thing that I love? It was my actions. It was the way that I was showing up. And so I was like, okay, I can bring the two together. I can make massive amounts of money, and I can also be present with my family. So again, just being really intentional with this business. The second that my husband walks through the door, phones are away. People are like, you're not on social. No, I'm not. I'm spending time with my family. Weekends, I don't care what kind of crisis you're having, I'm with my family. So it's just being really intentional with this.
And that's beautiful. And it's so important to have that balance. I know so many who just nonstop, they're constantly, launching and on social media, all hours, responding, dinner time, all of that. So to have that balance and to have that boundary, that is so beautiful. And to incorporate that and nope, I'm not available. Do not disturb, unplug. That's fantastic. So how does the human design fit in with it? How does this change people's lives and their perspective on money and making money?
Okay. So when I look at someone's chart, I hear this a lot from people who get a reading. They're like, Yolanda, I've had a reading. It was great information, but now I don't know how to apply it. That's the biggest thing that I think is lacking in the human design space. So I'm someone who, I look at your entire chart. I'm looking at the story that your chart tells, right? This isn't a personality test that changes based on how you feel one day to another. This is you. This is you to your core as you came into this world before you were exposed to the conditioning of your parents, your grandparents, society, all of the things. And so I'm looking at it and I'm telling you how you're supposed to operate best. And what happens is people are usually like, wait a minute. Yeah, I used to do that. And then my parents said, don't do that anymore. Or my teacher got annoyed with that and I got in trouble. And so it's really bringing people back to how they naturally operate. And when think about it this way. If you're driving your car on a daily basis, you're used to it. It's natural to you. However, if you go rent a car or if you buy a new car, now you have to get used to those controls, the way that seat feels, the way that those pedals feel, right? And so it's very much like that's what human design is doing. It's putting us back in this new environment that feels like, ooh, how do I navigate this? But it's actually how you were meant to navigate things in the beginning. And so when things feel easy, money automatically starts coming in. So there's so much to human design, so much to your chart. But the biggest thing that I like to look at is I like to look at your energy centers, which coincide with your chakra centers. And the reason I do that is because I call these your profit centers. And so where you're undefined, where things are white on your chart, is where you have the biggest potential for profit. And the reason being is because this is where you're actually sensing other people's needs, other people's energy. And then where you're defined, this is where you actually want to sell from. So you market from your undefined centers, and then you sell from your defined centers, because your defined centers are who you are naturally. When you walk into a room, this is you. You can't help it. This is not a mask. This is who you are. And so when I start putting that together for people, and then they start realizing, oh my gosh, okay, I did this thing, Yolanda, people are responding. Oh my gosh, Yolanda, people are in my DMs. It's just your natural way of attracting money, of attracting health, of attracting a loved one. It's just your natural way.
Mm-hmm. I love that. It's very intriguing. Yeah. And I'm sure my audience is like listening to every word going, okay, I want to know more. So tell us exactly what you do and how you put this all together.
Yeah. So I am a business coach that I of course, take the human design. And I, coming from a background of sales, I've been in sales since I was, officially since I was 18 years old. And everywhere I went, I was the top. I was the top person everywhere I went. And so I learned a lot about sales and sales psychology and, of course, marketing. I also have my degree with a major in marketing. And so I'm really combining those concepts with the energetics of your human design, your belief system, your mindset, all of the limiting beliefs that you once had. We're reprogramming that, and we are combining it to make you your most powerful identity ever. And I think that's the catalyst that it has so many of my clients experiencing massive wins, is because kind of like what you said, you had the experience with the coaches of like, do it this way, do it this way, do it. And it works when you believe it and when your energy is on board. But when you get burnt out, it doesn't work anymore, because people can sense, hey, there's something wrong with her. Even though you're not saying I'm burnt out, even if you tried to keep pushing, people would sense that. They would sense, hey, she's not in the same mood she was in, or she's not as powerful as she was. And so when we combine it this way and we make it fun, that's big breakthroughs. That's big money. That's big money.
Yeah. Working through those layers, peeling them back, and really discovering what's in alignment with you. And I like to say, like, we all learn from each other, and it doesn't matter how old you are, it's the experiences, and we all have our own gifts and talents, and to be able to utilize them so that we can create this beautiful legacy, so that we can create this ripple effect to help others, and in wealth activation, it's a 6-tier system where we use the power of breath and thoughts to make those same shifts. But I can imagine combining that with like human design and knowing that blueprint, how much faster it would accelerate, so that you don't hear those conditioning statements. Because a lot of our money woes are from things that we grew up with, like you were petrified of credit cards, watching your older sister. And I know in my family, we grew up with idioms of money doesn't grow on trees and money burns a hole in your pocket. I did a post in my Facebook group about that today. So many of us have problems holding on to the frequency of money. And they don't really get that, some people say, oh, well, $10,000 is a lot of money. Well, to some, $1,000 is a lot of money. It's all in your perception. And when you think about the energetics of money, and I'm not a science person, so I have yet to wrap my mind around the energetics of money. I know money is energy. And when we respect money and when we do what we love, more money comes our way. It just creates this reciprocal energy of doing that. So I love how you put that all together in your programming. As a business coach, you are so needed in our world, creating this ripple effect. Who's your best client? Who do you like to work with?
My best client is somebody who is motivated, somebody who is not in this for the short term, someone who's not looking for Amazon to deliver their $1 million on their doorstep tomorrow, but somebody who's actually willing to do the work and, stay committed and really apply. I think, kind of going back to what you were saying, the biggest thing that gets in the way is our belief system, right? She's going to tell me what to do. I'm going to apply it. And then you apply it. And then maybe it doesn't yield the results that you wanted instantly, but it's through the constant repetition and the constant mastering of that skill that brings that all together. So I work with anyone who is willing to do the work and is really looking to dive deeper than just the strategy, and who's not wanting to necessarily be in hustle, but again, still putting in that work.
I love that. Thank you so much. And what's the best way for our audience to connect with you?
Thank you so much for having me. Your podcast is a breath of fresh air. Anybody can reach me on Instagram as @manifest_mad_money. My website is manifestmadmoney.com. And then my podcast is Manifest Mad Money as well.
Yeah, I'll definitely put all those links in the show notes. Going to be tuning into your podcast. I love what you're doing, and the ripple effect that you're creating is so beautiful. What words of wisdom can you share with our audience?
The last thing I want to leave you all with is you cannot out hustle a bad money mindset. Figure out your money story, work through it, hire someone, get over it, and get through it. Yeah. The only way out is through.
I love that. That's definitely going to be a soundbite. That's awesome. You can't out hustle your money mindset. mindset is the crux of all that we do. And it doesn't matter, what you're dealing with, your limited income. Yolanda worked on commission. And I know a lot of you are out there, a lot of real estate brokers, real estate agents are listening to the show. And you're always thinking, but I work on commission. How am I going to do this? I know commission isn't predictable, but you can kind of figure out what to do if you do the same, if you have the same SOP for your money, when it comes in, it doesn't matter how much you make, it's what you do with it. Hey, thanks for tuning into the show. Give us a 5-star review and share it with your friends. Get ready to activate wealth. Be the next millionaire with a simple adjustment of your finances using an energetically aligned money multiplier system. You get to build wealth by partnering with money. It's time to have fun with finances. Pick a date. The link is in the show notes to book your wealth activation call, where you will get the one solution to multiply your money. Remember, it doesn't matter how much money you make, it's what you do with it.